Meantime, the presidential race is starting to heat up. That's because the Iowa State Fair is kicked off. Evan Kosloff breaks down why the fair is the place to see and be seen for presidential hopefuls.
In the end, it all comes down to this. Iowa matters because it's first. The Iowa caucus is now just 178 days away, and it's the first time a candidate can actually get a victory. And the Iowa State Fair is a good way to just get out there, eat a lot of unhealthy food, and meet people who are going to decide their political fate.
Here you go.
You know it's August when a lifelong politician like Joe Biden is serving ice cream to kids in Iowa.
Thank you.
It's an event that embraces politicians, to the point that there's actually a political soapbox at the fair.
Hello, Iowa.
A chance for lesser-known candidates like Steve Bullock to speak to the people.
We gather to make sure that Donald Trump's a one-term president.
And this happens every 4 years. Here's Jeb Bush throwing a fastball in 2015. Meanwhile, Governor Mike Huckabee was chowing down on pork chops. Candidate Hillary Clinton was there for the Democratic Party shaking hands. And of course, so was then candidate Donald Trump. So why spend so much time in Iowa? Well, the basic premise here is momentum. Since it's first, candidates who do well here can skyrocket in the polls. President Jimmy Carter is often credited as being one of the first candidates to figure this out. He was a lesser-known governor from Georgia, and he basically camped out in Iowa. He spent a ton of money on local advertising, and in the end, it worked. He did surprisingly well in Iowa, attracting national attention. From there, he'd win the nomination and then the presidency.
Open for business.
So that's why this state and this fair is so important for candidates. If they can make some noise in Iowa, maybe the rest of the country will notice. Oh yeah, it also has butter sculptures, so that's something.
And what's really interesting about 2020 is that we could have a bit of a reversal on our hands. And here's why. To qualify for the next debate, one of the qualifications is 400 donors from 20 different states. So that means these candidates can no longer just sort of camp out in Iowa. They need to spread their attention across the country. And you know, some may say this is a good thing. Iowa has the 31st largest population, and he gets a whole lot of attention this time of year. Evan Kosloff, WUSA 9.